Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 2nd of April. It's the year 2020. And I'm showing you this article from the Office of Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And this is the infantry brigades. These are ground, foot soldiers, fighters, infantry brigade combat team, and engineer brigades. Okay? Well, I'm going to read you this information that comes from a former member of one of these three. I'm not going to say exactly which one so that he doesn't get pinpointed. He's already having serious issues with internet, computer rebooting, etc., etc. Now, you can believe this or not. I am done trying to convince people what this exactly is, but I'm going to show you exactly what's happening to us right now while Trump is misdirecting people to Venezuela and Iran, etc., and tying up troops, calling up inactive reserve Marines. Yeah, that's called muddying the water even more so. But let me read this to you. Fourth generation warfare. That is what's happening to the United States right now. In short, it is warfare and invasion of another country that does not use planes, tanks, soldiers, missiles, or any other conventional weapon. It does, however, use the media, social media platforms, cyber experts, mainstream media platforms such as CNN, MSNBC, etc., radio commercials, business logos, groups like Antifa, Me Too, and most definitely uses companies like Google and Cambridge Analytica, strategic communication laboratories, to data mine users' every move in order to persuade voting, buying, selling, trading, in other words, control you with 24-hour coverage of a lie. No shot with a rifle ever has to be fired in order to dominate or control another country or your own country in the case of the hoax virus. Medical martial law is one big mind job as well. Okay? Getting to the point. I'll post it last to summarize this last paragraph. Here's where it gets interesting. There is a paper attached that's called Known Unknowns, Unconventional Strategic Shocks in Defense Strategy Development, basically fourth generation warfare, but it describes on several papers what happens if the United States gets hit with an unknown or a shock as it described, for example, bombing of Pearl Harbor in 9/11. In this respect, the next compelling defense relevant threat is likely to appear by purpose or design or accident, or this fake COVID-19. Now, let me just interject real quick, okay? A lot of people are like, Richie, all these deaths are tied to 5G. Let me explain something to you. Myself, the mainstream, alternative media, and other YouTubers have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that all these deaths are being contrived. There aren't all these deaths, which is why you aren't seeing all these deaths. So please stop taking your eye off the ball and blaming this on 5G or anything other than what it is exactly. This is what's happening right now, and it's going to escalate. And we know it's going to escalate because they've told us it's going to escalate. It's going to be a very, very bad 2 weeks, Donald Trump told America. And America is just sitting at home, sitting at home. Meanwhile, this continues. Page 16. Indeed, future purposeful shocks are likeliest to come when state and non-state competitors learn to effectively circumvent traditional U.S. military overmatch, employing non-military means as war. They will then leverage politics, economics, hostile social action, and discriminating non-military violence or inactive combinations. This is made more certain by the unguided forces of globalization, toxic populism, identity politics, underdevelopment, human natural disaster, and disease. Exactly. Threats of context might include, but are not limited to, contagious, and under governance, civil violence, the swift, catastrophic onset of consequential natural, environmental, or human disaster, and rapidly expanding and uncontrolled transregional epidemic, and the sudden crippling instability or collapse of a large and important state. Disruptive civil violence, natural disasters, epidemics are expected on the near to mid-term strategic horizon. They will occur around the world. The defense-relevant shock comes when one of these occurs or two or more of these combine in a way that force DoD to fundamentally reorient strategy, capabilities, investments, and concepts in response. By the way of example, I gotta take a break. Calculation indicates that epidemics and widespread civil violence might be tolerable in some parts of the world. Shock would result if these occurred inside the U.S. or inside a key strategic partner to an extent that they force DoD to radically re-roll for domestic security, population control, consequence management, and stabilization. So do you see what's going on here? And I'm going to leave this so you can read the rest because I just don't feel like reading this all. But this is exactly what's happening right now. Well, everyone sits at home, everyone waits. Told you, I mean, I don't understand this sudden shock, like this revelation that oh my goodness, the COVID-19 test kits were contaminated with COVID-19. Well, here's the deal. If they test you, you will be positive. I've already tried to explain that to you. The doctors are explaining it to you. What they're claiming is COVID-19 is an existing cell already in your body. And ironically, the existing thing in your body is there to fight off infection. And they're calling it a disease. That's why people are dying absolutely everywhere. Do you see what I'm saying? And people sitting, locking themselves in a house, watching mainstream television is a weapon, and it always has been. And it's being employed right now to the point where people are believing in an absolute fairy tale, and some people are actually getting sick because if you keep hearing the symptoms over and over, and you are weak-minded enough, you can probably get them. I actually know somebody that's probably going to fall into that category, sadly. Okay, read the rest of this if you want, understand what it is, but here's his assessment. I'll point again, everything that has been happening. I've been watching the trend of this since day one. 22 states now have military assisting with the COVID-19 crisis. Just as many states by the end of the week will be on lockdown. And that is accurate. Florida is now on a lockdown. I just got the paperwork. I'll show this to you after if I remember. Although some state governors are not officially locking down their states, they have left it up to individual mayors to decide, and they have. And essentially, it's a lockdown. Texas governor just extended his unofficial lockdown to April 30th. In 2019, we had approximately 80,000 flu deaths, and not one time did we ever call the National Guard. I've been pounding that number into your head since this started. The deaths that we have every year from the common cold and flu, which are natural. It happens. If you're elderly, if you're sick, and then you get the flu, you may die. And yet these numbers blew by the numbers that are being presented right now because that's not what that is. It's not what COVID is. It's this. It's fourth generation warfare being used against us by our own government that's been practicing to do this constantly. Constantly. And it's amazing because we've been showing you this for years and people just don't get it, but whatever. In 2019, we had approximately 80,000 flu deaths, and not one time did we ever call the National Guard in, bring military and civilians that are currently retired back into service. In 80,000 deaths of the flu, we didn't shut down one single business. We didn't slow regular appointments down in hospitals, demand major factories and corporations begin immediately building respirators and creation of a medical equipment. We never had heard of food and toilet paper. In those 80,000 deaths, there were no Democrats and Republicans standing arm in arm, signing trillions of dollars away in aid packages. 80,000 deaths, and America didn't blink once. Yet today, we have a virus killing hundreds of people and infecting thousands, although the hospitals are empty. No funerals, no TV coverage of the individual that died. Remember Parkland High School Parkland High School had the killed students' names running for a month with an outcry of the deaths. Suddenly, we have rich Hollywood celebrities claiming they have the virus, so wash your hands. We have the media on every single available platform running the COVID-19 lie 24 hours a day to remind us that deaths are occurring to everyone and how contagious this virus is. And the only cure they have is to wash your hands and stay inside on the mass isolations, quarantines, and curfews that become more extreme day by day. And that's exactly what's happening. You are, I don't know what that number is. You are correct tonight on your live stream. The noose is tightening. If people cannot see the big picture at this point, then there is nothing you can do until M1 Abrams tanks are sitting in their driveways. The military has been war gaming operations within the United States for a long time, and they are right at the doorstep. Today, right now. There was an article you posted about the media asking the U.S. military if the tanks on the rail lines were being used for the COVID-19 crisis. The military answered no, of course not. Those are pieces of equipment that coming from units that recently arrived from overseas. That is a total lie. I deployed 3 times after 9/11, and we never, ever took one single vehicle overseas. Not one. And we never brought anything back except our personal gear. There is no way in hell, logistically, that the military can fly an entire unit's vehicles overseas and at the same time bring the returning vehicles back home. This would happen hundreds of times over Iraq and Afghanistan every single day. Each unit uses the vehicles the last one uses. Those vehicles we had have been there forever. Each unit is responsible for the care and upgrade of the vehicles they signed for from leaving the unit. Now, just to back this up, if you recall, when ISIS first came up, when they first became a threat to America, it was because the military left behind thousands and thousands and thousands of Hummers, Bradley fighting vehicles, M16s, rounds of ammunition, mortars, everything you need to basically assemble an army, just add terrorists. Do you remember that story? Because that's exactly what it was. So those tanks we see on trains, those MRAPs, those APC and armored vehicles, sure, they may be going home from within the United States, but because of the fake COVID-19, most training has ceased and deployments are frozen. What you see today will be on the street. The governor has a contingency plan for the citizens of the United States if this goes sour for them. Guess what? Americans would be the new American insurgency, and those tanks are for us, you and me, all your subscribers, all of the ones who disobey guidance, orders to vaccinate, and failure to be part of the COVID-19 team. And he says, I've ranted, but I want to leave you with this. This is unprecedented. This is real. Q is a lie. The military is here, and people aren't ready at this point. It's just too late. And I will try to show you this document. Stand by. I will show you this document. Stand by. Known unknowns. Where have we heard that before? Remember that? Donald Rumsfeld? It's strange how that little creep keeps popping up. But here it is. It basically outlines exactly what we're watching right now. How to completely get an entire armed country to go shelter in place in their houses and think all will be well. I don't know how else to tell you this. There's a reason that everybody is going to hospitals and all the hospitals are empty. There's a reason that medical professionals keep sending me pictures going, we don't actually have anybody in our hospitals. But according to the mainstream, just like fourth generation warfare shows you, that's how it would be done. That's what all the social engineering, all the social media over the years has been. And even right now, they're using what I'm saying right now, and they will make adjustments, period. But I really don't know what else to do other than show you what's coming to me. And that's kind of that. You see what I'm saying? You're going to have to pause this if you want to read this all, but I might be able to post a link to this. But you know what? If you go right here, you can do it yourself. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, can't reach this page. I'm shocked. At any rate, take it for what it's worth, or just do nothing. Keep listening to the same people that have been lying to us for time immemorial. Don't believe what you're seeing. I'm out.